Over.
Hello, I'm here as a frequent user of the Laurel Library. Some years ago, I started helping out my sister, who is a single mother, taking care of her daughter. And for a time there, we didn't have a car, so we had to go to the Laurel Library. We had to walk, and there was a time also we did not have a computer, so we had to use the computers over at the Laurel Library. That was a very valuable resource. We use it all the time, and we wouldn't know what we'd do without it. And well, now my sister has a computer, but it doesn't work very well. So, and she also has a car. Well, it's a used car, but anyways, but because of some of the deficiencies in the library, there's not as many computers, and the resources are not. They go to the Savage Library more so over in Howard County, and so it's really important that you please help the library system. It needs all the support it can get. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your testimony. Before we bring up the next person, just like to introduce and have him just wave his hand. We have our Director of Homeland Security, Brian Moe.
Thomas Denoga.
Who?
Good evening.
Good evening.
I have to talk fast, so I want to congratulate you for a great start. I also want to congratulate you for picking Mr. Himmler in the interim, and hopefully for long term. I'm a big fan of Mr. Himmler. I harassed him for many years, and he had an unbelievable grasp on the budget. I want to talk about real quick FY 2011 current budget. I want to support the mayor. We had an issue with the CTC bus system, and I tried to work out a compromise with DPW. We put $100,000, I think it was $75,000 in the budget 2 years ago. Your predecessor refused to spend it. The District 21 delegation worked really hard in Annapolis to work out an agreement that fell through. So this year, the county council put $200,000 into support of the CTC bus, and I urge you to work with Ms. Lehman and the mayor to make that happen. It really is deserved and fair. I want to support the Friends of the Laurel Library, obviously. They're the one project I was unable to complete during my time in office. And one of the things that we did, we got $3 million in the budget for 2011, so this $3 million is there. And we moved up, we actually had general obligation bond funding of increased to $5,175,000, which in total brings $8,175,000. That $5 million is in plan to be in the 2012 budget. If you just leave it alone, it's all there, and the library would be good to go. And I want to support the Friends on that. Real quick, Reality, the gentleman from Reality, as he said, it's the only residential-based facility in the county. We need to replicate it. The council talked about this during my time in office, but there was never money or way to do it. So if you can't do it, give them more money to keep doing what they're doing, because they're doing a fantastic job. First Generation College Bound, premier organization here in the county, and even in the tightest of times, we were furloughing people and cutting everything in the budget. We actually increased First Generation to $200,000, and it's under the grants to community organizations, because they actually expanded their program from Laurel High School to several schools around the county. And even when we were furloughing and laying people off, we kept that $200,000 in the budget. It's been in there about 4 or 5 years now. And if it gets cut, it will actually contract. And they're sending some of our neediest kids to college and getting them tremendous amounts of financing to make it happen. So that's something that really cannot afford to be cut. I would also note in Beltsville, the Montgomery Road project is coming to fruition. There's money in the 2011 budget, and I think Hytham's getting ready to start on that this spring. And there's money in the 2012 budget that's needed to complete that project. So I hope you will do that. In addition, you just heard Christ International Ministries. What's significant about that is that shopping center they moved to is where we had a bar that went through a lot of trouble. We had murders down there, and that shopping center has been in distress. They have gone in and taken over a large space, and they're bringing in positive family activity. So it's probably in the CDBG program, if you can find a way to support them, that will pay dividends tremendously. Thank you, Mr. Baker.
Thank you. First of all, I want to thank you, Councilmember Noga, for your service, and also I understand it's because of your work that we're in this building here, so thank you.
Paul Gentile.
Good evening, County Executive, and thank you for the opportunity to comment on the budget. I'm here to protest the cuts in the specialty buses for our talented and gifted students throughout the county, and particularly here in West Laurel, where I and several other members of the community are very upset about this right now. We've just learned about these cuts, and let me just give you a little brief history. For the last 3 months, September, October, and November, the buses never arrived on time. I had to negotiate with the principal and with your director of transportation in the school system to see whose name would get in the paper first. Oddly enough, that situation worked itself out, and now the buses do arrive on time for the first time. Now, for the first time this week, we learned that those buses will be discontinued. And we think this is a terrible, terrible idea. This impacts students, parents, and the school. It impacts the students because they're going to get less time to sleep. You as an educator know full well the impact of lack of sleep and getting the students there. There's going to be more tardiness because they're going to be dependent upon the parents to get them there. It's going to be affecting the parents because some parents do not have transportation. Some parents work shift work. They're firemen, they're policemen, they're hospital workers. They work 7 to 3 and need to get to the work at 7 o'clock. That means that those schools will have to open early at 6 o'clock. Well, isn't that going to incur cost, Mr. County Executive? I mean, all down the line, this is a bad idea, and the $7.3 million regarding this can be taken out of something else. This will impact future students, those disadvantaged students that would like to go to a TAG program, but cannot because they don't have the public transportation or other transportation to get there. Opening the school there, you're going to have hundreds of parents bringing their children there. There'll be congestion, traffic, environmental concerns. All the other costs that go into having all these cars there are going to have an impact. Then the impact of what happens after school. After school, well, parents can't pick them up at 3:15. They're going to have to pick them up at 5. Is there going to be staff there to look at the students? Isn't that an additional cost? Doesn't that require heat and electricity and light to keep those going? Are you just going to leave those students there? Or are you going to shove them out the door and leave them outside on a night like tonight? I don't think so. I don't think so. So Councilman Lehman was very instrumental in getting the buses on time. However, she's taken a position for these cuts, and I'm very disappointed about that. And her written position has gone virulent through the community right now. District 21 representatives, Senator Rosa Pepp, and all the delegates are writing a letter to Superintendent Height against these cuts. What I ask you, Mr. County Executive, you know, on the path to greatness, we need a bus on that path. And otherwise, we'll have a road to ruin for our community, our children, and our families. Thank you very much.
Let me just say this. As someone whose child is on one of those buses, and I just found out today that they were going to look at cutting the services. I do want to say this, Councilmember Lehman, like myself, we have to look at the whole budget. We have to look at everything going on, even those things that affect us personally. But you're absolutely right. You gave your story. If I had to go pick my daughter up from Suitland, I really wouldn't have made it here on time. And it's raining out there. So I'm sure, just like myself, she's taking a hard look at the budget because we have to do that. So thank you for your testimony.
Margaret Gooden.
Good evening, everyone. I just want to say that I am a lover of the library. I use the facilities a lot, and even more so since I went through a layoff with a job in 2008. I use the facilities for their magazines, the computer. Sometimes their computer is faster than mine at home, and then occasionally my computer is broken. But I use their facilities also for the videos. I spend a lot of time not only at Laurel Library, but I go to other libraries in the county. And I do say that we need to make sure that we keep the libraries intact for our community. I'm also a part-time student at PG Community College, and I use materials sometimes for class. And I just want to say that you might want to also be mindful of making sure that you're able to have enough teachers in the schools. I've been trying to take classes and trying to get certified, but there were some cuts with the PG resident teacher program. And so it's been hard to, try to, continue going to school with less income and then trying to stay in Laurel and stay in PG County. Rents go up, income's going down. Not only I have this issue, but friends do as well. Housing is very expensive in our county, and if you don't qualify for public assistance, and you're not getting raises or your income is not increasing to keep up with increasing costs, it will be harder for more people to stay in PG County, and some people might have to either move out of the county, out of the state, which means less revenues. Please think about affordable housing for everybody. Not everybody qualifies for Section 8. And not everybody can afford the beautiful condos and homes that you're building in the area that are almost $500,000. We need places where we can just work and go to school, as well as have a safe, crime-free neighborhood. I mean, there may be other parts of the county that are safe to, not safe, but other parts of the county that are more affordable with housing. But not everyone wants to be in a community with high crime, where you're afraid to get in and out of your car or take the bus because you might be mugged, or having to live in a community with bars on your windows. I think we deserve freedom. Isn't that what our country's all about? And I'll let that go. Thank you.
Thank you very much.